This is Loggers and Loudmouths, Conversations Unfiltered.
What's going on, thinkers and drinkers out there? Thanks again for tuning in to this week's episode of Loggers and Loudmouths. I am your host, Ty, here with my co-host, Cam. How you doing there, Cam?
Hey, guys. How's everybody doing tonight? All right, so before we get started, of course, this is Loggers and Loudmouths, so we need to start by cracking a beer, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so what do I got today? Today I have a Oktoberfest, probably it's up there with my favorite styles all time, from White Labs. If you don't know White Labs, they're actually based out of San Diego, California, but Ty and I got the chance to go to their Asheville location this week in Asheville, North Carolina. Really cool place because they're really big into the yeast, and Tyler is a really, really big beer nerd, so he actually stood in front of the counter where they were selling the different yeasts for probably half the time we were there trying to decide which one to get. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was great. We picked up a yeast strain that we're going to make later on this month, hopefully. Going to be a Christmas-style ale. I figured when in Rome, you got fresh yeast in front of you, you got to take that opportunity, right?
Yeah, and anybody who's a home brewer kind of knows White Labs. They're kind of the pinnacle of yeast. They really do some of the best yeast out there, so this is their Oktoberfest.
Yeah, this is a fantastic Oktoberfest, by the way. I like it a lot.
Oh, that is good. All right, yeah.
I like that a lot.
That's, honestly, a Marzen is probably one of my favorite styles. If you had to pick, what are you picking? Favorite style?
I mean, Marzens are great. I gotta go hazy IPA, New England style. I love that. Love that citrus.
You guys know why he's saying that because he won a contest earlier this year with a home-brewed hazy IPA.
That may be true. We were at One World this weekend,
yep.
And we had an IPA called Citra Bomb, which was fantastic.
It was delicious. One World is downtown Asheville. If you're over that way, check it out.
Yeah, Asheville, North Carolina in general. If you have a chance to get out there and you're a beer nerd, just love a bunch of different breweries. That's kind of the mecca in our neck of the woods, at least.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half from us, so we can go there pretty quickly. But we went to One World. We got to tour New Belgium over in Asheville. That was a blast. We actually had brunch at Bold Rock. Surprisingly delicious brunch. Beers are fine. I mean, if you like ciders and stuff, they were really good. Whistle Hop. Tell them about Whistle Hop. That was
Whistle
fun.
Hop was real cool. It was kind of on the outskirts of Asheville. Kind of a very open atmosphere, but they had a 1950s caboose that they converted into a like a merchandise section and a tap room, and they also kept those elevated seats in the caboose, so you could actually grab a beer, go up there and check out the caboose and sit in there and enjoy your nice frosty brew.
I do love checking out a caboose, and the best thing.
Who doesn't?
The best thing about that caboose, it wasn't the fact that you're sitting in a train drinking a beer. I mean, that was awesome, but the acoustics. We had the music going because this was our last stop of the night. So let's just say we were feeling good. So we had some music going, and we were basically karaokeing in this caboose, and the sound acoustics were great.
I think we can go on American Idol and probably take it.
Oh, 100%, as long as we can bring the caboose with us.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Enough beer talk. What do we got this week on the agenda?
Alrighty, so we got a couple topics for you this week. We're going to start off like we did last week with our serious topic. I think that worked out fairly well, so we're just going to keep that train going. Our serious topic for this week is, how prepared is the average American for a life-altering existential crisis, and how do you think you would fare?
Life-altering existential crisis. All right, so what do you think of when you're thinking of an existential crisis? Are you thinking like all my lights are off? Is banks shut down? Nuclear war?
Nuclear war would be hard. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but I think when I think of...
And at the end of the day, you can't prepare for that, can you?
Not really.
No.
I mean, you might have 45 minutes to
run
figure
as
something
fast
out.
as you can.
Yeah, right. No, when I think of existential crisis, for some reason, I went right into infrastructure failure.
Okay, so like banks fail, traffic signals down, power's out.
Yeah.
You got no water coming to your house.
Right, exactly. That kind of, go back to primal instinct kind of a thing. That was my initial thought with this.
Okay.
In regards to how the average American would fare, I think we'd find out pretty quick that it would be a total shit show.
Oh, 100%. I think it would be a complete shit show. So so I was just kind of looking up some stats for this. This is a thing that our government actually monitors. The American Society of Civil Engineers, they actually assess the quality of our U.S. infrastructure every 4 years. Most recent grading was in 2021, and we got, you want to take a guess of what our grade was on a normal grading scale, A to F?
Probably a D.
D. All right, so you're undershooting us just a little bit. We were a C minus.
Yeah, you're splitting hairs.
Which is we were a D in 2017. So we slightly improved over that 4 years. So the next grade won't be out until the beginning of 2025. So
we probably slightly improved because we had that pandemic and everybody kind of got
stayed home.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the closest thing I think in our lifetime that we've seen on a global scale. Like
for sure, 100%. Because we all had to stay home it wasn't an option. You were basically said, hey, stay home. For a lot of people, it was a change. I work from home anyway, have since 2015, so it wasn't a big change for me, but my wife was home, my son was home. So yeah, it was definitely a change.
I think it taught people a lot how to adapt. I think you also saw a lot of craziness come out.
Yep. Just think about the toilet paper.
I was just about to bring that up.
What of all damn things in the world we're going to go crazy over is toilet paper? Come on, guys, just buy a bidet. Why can't we be like the French? Just get a bidet.
But think about that. We didn't even lose infrastructure over that.
No,
everyone had their power.
Yep.
Everyone had their money.
That's a good point. That was in the grand scheme of things, that was a pretty mild inconvenience, but yet some people took it pretty far.
So I see infrastructure failure, at least in my mind. Like, I guess you can combine it with war. Like if an opposing country like detonated an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, over the country that just barbecued everything, what would we do? What would you do?
All right, so first thing I would do, see, my brain goes straight to, hey, we've got this group message with all our friends. I could message them, but obviously I can't.
Yeah, no cell signal, buddy.
I don't know. I honestly, I think so. If I were getting my truck or my car and going somewhere, probably wouldn't be a great idea. I might just get on my bike, ride the 2 or 3 miles over to your house, kind of gather you up, and then we can kind of gather up because I think ultimately at the end of the day, community is going to be key. Because you might have something that I might not have and vice versa.
I think resources are going to be huge. I think.
Oh, for sure.
But that's the thing. You never know how long something's going to last.
No. Do you currently do any sort of, I guess the word here would be prepping. Do you prep at all?
No, I wouldn't say I prep even a little bit.
No, same. I don't either. My mom, she does. She's got this whole garage filled with legit probably 30 or 40 shelves of canned goods and several deep freezers frozen with stuff. So if I could get to her house 3.5 hours away, I might be okay for a month or two. But
food, water, gasoline are going to be huge.
Yeah, gasoline's going to be really big.
Although in a long-term crisis such as this, that is all limited resources.
Agreed. Yeah, it's 100% limited.
Right. So I was thinking about this a little bit, and I think your big 4 main life-sustaining things that anybody needs is going to be food, water, shelter, clothing.
Food, water, shelter, clothing, of course, yep.
I think the fact that we both have houses, that's already a huge advantage because, even if you don't have power. But
do you have concern that somebody might try to take that from you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess in your head, how high of an elevated situation are we in?
If it's a complete infrastructure, I don't know. I think initially the first, if it's okay, everything went out for 2 or 3 days, and somehow they can communicate with us, like maybe old school radio, that, hey, we're going to have this back up and running in a few days. I think people would be able to kind of buckle down and grin and bear it for a few days. But
5 to 7 days, I think the majority of people would be okay.
But I think after that week time frame, that's when it starts getting a little bit hairy.
And when I think about these kind of situations, I'm thinking months on end.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking of it too. I'm not thinking of a short term. I'm thinking of this is long term, Walking Dead kind of nonsense.
Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. I think first thing I would do is, I'm kind of in a weird situation because I probably have at least 55 gallons worth of empty beer vessels that I could immediately fill with fresh water. Yeah. So I think that's the first thing I would do.
Where do you get that fresh water?
Well, assuming that the utility service hasn't completely stopped water to your house, I would start filling up bathtubs, kegs, fermenters, anything that was, of substance.
Vessel.
Yeah.
Yep.
If water is not flowing to my house, I'd probably end up either going to the lake.
Now you have a creek right behind your house, don't you? Ish.
Yeah,
not too far.
More of a stream.
More of a stream. But still, that could potentially be potable water if needed.
Yeah, we have the lake right by us.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a mile from the lake. Yeah.
I think another thing I would try to do is if I could obtain some kind of 55-gallon drum, I would set up a system off of the gutters of my soffit
Yep, of
to
course.
collect rainwater, and then I got a fire pit in my backyard. You could boil water to at least have drinkable water at any given point in time.
All right, so you got water. What about food? What are you thinking about food?
Food's going to be a hard one.
I mean,
especially...
we live in East Tennessee, so hunting is always an option. There are plenty of deer. That might sustain you temporarily. I think that's going to get crazy, though, with a bunch of hunters out there with a gun.
Probably.
They're all thinking the same thing.
I think that resource goes quick, and I think that you run into the issue of long-term storage of that meat.
100%. You'd have to learn how to smoke, go kind of old school, and preserve it somehow.
I try to get really good at farming real fast.
Yeah, I have a garden every year, and this year, we tried to grow corn and pumpkins and tomatoes, and they did absolutely terrible. So
you'd be dead in a month.
Exactly. I currently do not have those skills.
No, I think going back to your point about pooling resources and community, I think that'd be huge.
I think you gotta have a community. This isn't even I'm just thinking shows. I mean, I get it, they're shows, but thinking back to Walking Dead, they did not survive without having a group of people.
Right.
And I think that's kind of how it would have to go. So you got to pool your resources. So we got all right. So we got a water plan, we got a food plan ish.
Also, there's safety in numbers too,
for sure.
Because at some point, if it goes on long enough, I think it would happen absolutely sooner rather than later. But you got to worry about people, taking your resources. I think,
for sure.
I think people would drive their truck straight through the Walmart front doors and start.
I think that would happen within the first 2 weeks.
Oh, way before that, I think.
Yeah, that's probably being generous.
Have you seen some people around here?
No, I mean we fought over toilet paper for COVID. Yeah. All right, so food, water, again, pooling our resources, I think, is going to be key. Have a community support. What about communication? How are we going to communicate?
That'd be tough.
We got to go old. No, I don't know what works and what wouldn't work in an infrastructure downfall. Could I use CB radios, or would that still require?
That still runs off electricity, doesn't it?
Probably.
Well, I mean, if you have some kind of battery system,
definitely need a generator.
Generators would be good,
but again, that runs on gas. Yeah,
I'll tell you, you'd be the man if you had a solar system hooked up on your roof.
Yeah,
and you could run self-sustaining your refrigerator, your everything.
Yeah. Did you ever watch The Last of Us?
I have not, but I've heard fantastic things about it.
You need to watch it. It's great because the guy, it's Nick Offerman plays this guy who kind of Nick Offerman's great.
I love Nick Offerman.
He's amazing. But he plays this guy who basically, when The Last of Us, which is kind of another type apocalypse type situation, he does that. He basically sets up his own house to be off the grid, completely sustainable, builds his own barricade around it, his own food. And it's pretty good. So check it out next time you get a
100%.
chance.
What would you do? What would you do in a invasion type situation?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I have weapons, but probably not a sufficient amount to last me particularly long. So again, I think that's where community and numbers is going to be your biggest helper.
I think within 24 hours, hindsight's going to hit you so hard, and you'll be like,
"Oh God, yeah!
Why didn't I have?
Why
all of this?
am I not more prepared?"
Right.
I kind of poke fun at my mom and her husband for being overly prepared, but that would be the one time I would kind of kick myself in the ass and be like, "Yeah, you know what? You were right."
I'll tell you one thing: I do not want to deal with any of that, and we haven't even brought up the fact that we're just talking about physical surroundings. We're not even talking about your health. I mean, you mix this in with an actual, infectious, deadly disease.
Yeah.
Then you really are talking about some Walking Dead type.
Yeah, we're
shit.
talking about zombie apocalypse at that point. And then even if it wasn't a zombie apocalypse, what about people who are on medications, like life-altering, life-saving medications, things that they have to have on a daily basis?
Insulin and anything around that.
I don't know that there's any option for them. Sad to say.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. You got to have obviously, so as a preparer, you would want to have a sufficient supply of all of your medications. We're fortunate we don't have to have those at this point in our lives, but it could happen eventually.
Here's an interesting thought. Say this is isolated to the United States. Do you think any countries would provide humanitarian aid to us?
I would like to say yes, just because we have historically done a good job, or at least an okay job, of providing aid throughout the world, throughout our history.
We do a pretty good job of pissing people
but
off.
By
too.
the same time, people like to see the mighty fall. So if we're falling, I mean, they could be like, this is our chance to become the mighty if we just kind of let this play itself out. So I don't know. I mean, I would hope humanity kicks in, but I'm not optimistic that it would.
Okay, so this is a little off topic, but
All
I
right.
want to bring this up anyway. I think I found the solution to world peace.
Okay, I'm listening.
Alien invasion.
Alien. All right. So, elaborate.
So we're too busy fighting each other because we have nobody else to fight, right?
That's a good point.
It's all humans versus humans.
Yeah, people like to bicker.
Right. So if we have a extraterrestrial global threat.
So these aliens are assholes. They're not nice.
No, I'm talking full on space movie,
Gotcha.
lasers.
We're fighting them. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think that's the only way you bring the world together is for the.
We have to have a common enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And right now, our common enemies are just us.
Yeah, and
Meaning
exactly.
other
And your enemy is not my enemy, and my enemy is not your enemy. So then, that's just why we have wars all the time and people fighting people over nonsense.
I feel like you kind of saw that phenomenon play out a little bit right after 9/11, because with all the
common enemy was the Afghanistan, ISIS, all that stuff over there. So kind of the whole world kind of rallied around us at that point in time.
not even the whole world, but just the people within the United States. I mean,
That's a good point.
How many American flags did you see post 9/11
Oh,
for
yeah.
the first 6 months?
Yeah.
It was insane. We were fairly united after that.
Yeah. For a short period of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. No, you're right. Because again, at that point, we had a common enemy. Everybody was on the same page.
Which is a weird kind of phenomenon. We have to have some kind of existential
Crisis.
crisis,
Yeah.
existential threat to say, hey, maybe we should work together and not be dicks to each other.
All the time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that would play out. I like the alien idea though. That's an interesting one.
I'm all about the aliens, man. I believe. I want to believe.
Listen, we cannot be the only thing in this entire universe. This universe is ginormous. Why do we get to be the only thing of, and I guess, intelligent life? And maybe we're not. Maybe we're complete idiots, and these people are just so smart. They're like, oh, these are like my ant farm.
I was going to say the same thing. Maybe we're a little science experiment.
I think we are. We're like somebody's ant farm somewhere, and they just check in on us every now and then, but they don't really let us know they're there.
You know, they see us making all these nuclear bombs. They come in not just to make sure we don't blow ourselves up.
Yeah.
Just enough to, keep everything, keep rolling down the tracks there.
And they got bets. That's what they do. They got bets on what's going to happen next. It's like a giant gambling website for them.
Extraterrestrial gambling.
Yeah,
ring.
100%. They're gambling over like which country's going to do what, who's going to piss off who. Yeah, I can see that. All right, so now that we've decided that we are completely screwed as a society, we don't really have a plan. I mean, obviously, we kind of have minimal plans. How might you better prepare going forward?
I think you stock up on. I'll preface this by saying, don't go bananas. Don't go out and buy a whole semi truck full of canned corn or something like that. But I mean, I think you stock up. Every time you go out, grab a couple cans of food. Maybe you have a little storage shelf in your basement that you kind of cycle out every 6 months or something like that.
Yep.
Medical supplies, I think.
Even just something basic. Like if I were to think about my house right now, I don't think I have your basic emergency kit. I don't think you have water, like any sort of extra water. I don't have most first aid supplies. Sure, I got Band-Aids and a few gauze here and there.
No, but you need a little bit more than that.
I don't even think I own an actual real flashlight. I know, it's embarrassing. You pull one out of your pocket all the time.
I know. Every time I talk to you,
like
you disappoint me.
You're like the ultimate not dad, because you got your pocket knife and then you pull out your flashlight, and I don't have anything.
And how many times has that come in handy?
I don't disagree. That's what I'm saying. I am ill prepared.
No, but I think medical supply, and I think people need to learn how to provide basic medical care, like those emergency crash kits that you could put in the back of your car that have like a basic trauma kit.
Yeah.
You know how to tie a tourniquet, you know how to stop bleeding, just basic first aid, CPR, things like that. I don't think a lot of people know anything about that.
Yeah.
And when you do not want to try to figure that out when it's your first time in encountering a crisis like that.
Yeah. And so kind of let's go to the food then. So for food, obviously you could start You could have some rain barrels. Super easy. You can buy those $50, $100 off Amazon or your closest hardware store. Hook them up to your gutters. Easy way to have a couple 100 gallons worth of water sitting around. Seeds. People don't, I mean, just stockpile seeds. They don't particularly go bad. They can usually last quite a few years, so you can stockpile seeds. That way, if it were like an extended long-term kind of crisis, you could have planting ability.
I feel like non-perishable food items have come quite a ways.
They have, yeah. So you could stockpile a lot of it. I'm just thinking cost-effective. Seeds are super cheap to buy those like non-perishable, reheatable things.
You talked about seeds for eating or seeds for growing?
Growing, like tomato plants, corn, whatever your favorite is. We would all have to become. We would all have to learn to love vegetables.
Yeah, I mean, I think 4 or 5 months into it, fresh ripe tomato would be pretty valuable.
But that's so back to Last of Us again. You got to watch it. Start this night when you go home. This character, he falls in love with another guy, and this scene kind of when I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's this one scene where he picks a strawberry. And it's like you're watching them eat this strawberry, and you're like, this is the best strawberry they've ever eaten. Because they hadn't grown strawberries, and they hadn't had them in years. So, yeah, kind of goes back to that tomato. Yeah,
you would definitely start enjoying the little things in life
100%.
Once you've been deprived of them.
100%.
That old adage, you don't know what you got till it's gone kind of a thing.
Yep. Energy, again, solar power is going to be your best bet there, I think, for long-term energy.
Yeah, I think you can get away with gas internal combustion engines for short term
for a month maybe. I think after that, gas
if you had the
runs
fuel.
out. Yeah, if you had the fuel. After that, you're not going to be able to find fuel.
Use vegetable oil in a diesel
That's
engine.
A good point.
That'd be
But again, people smarter than me are going to figure out how to do that, and that's going to run out quick too.
Yeah, everything would be so. I think everything would be utilized so.
It would be utilized fast, and it would be hoarded fast.
Yeah.
That's the key. I think people would hoard the heck out of it.
Oh, 100%.
Medical, you want to make sure, I guess, just kind of having your basic supplies, and if you are on any sort of medication, if you have the means to stockpile a little bit, probably never a bad idea. Insulin, things like that. I don't know what the shelf life is on that stuff, but probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have some backup. What else are you thinking?
I don't know. I think we covered this one pretty good, but what do you guys think? We'd love to hear your feedback on any of these topics or any future topics.
How well are you personally prepared, or how well do you think the rest of us are prepared? We personally are both quite pessimistic, as you can tell, so I don't think we're going to fare particularly well.
I don't think I'm pessimistic. I think I'm a realist.
Good point. Realistic versus, I'm not optimistic. I am optimistic. I could, I would fight like hell, but that might be as far as I get.
If you've known me for any period of time, you know I don't sugarcoat shit.
Yeah. All right. Enough of this. Let's talk about something fun.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So our fun one this week is, I've always kind of wanted this because we all grew up watching cartoons, right? We're both kind of '90s kids, so we grew up with like all the Rugrats and Dougs and all the fun cartoons of our childhood. They're a little different these days, but I think that's just kind of the old man in me. So, which cartoon character would you want to be friends with in real life?
I love this question, and I immediately have an answer. Wouldn't even think twice about it.
How long did it take you to figure out this answer?
4 seconds tops.
Nice. All right. I pondered on this one for a while.
It took me 4 seconds, and that's just because I was drinking a beer. So probably less than that.
Yeah, it took the time to swallow the drink. Then.
Yeah.
Yep.
So growing up, I was a gigantic fan of King of the Hill. I think it was probably my favorite cartoon growing up. Still probably my favorite cartoon to this day. Love watching it. So my choice is Dale Gribble.
Dale Gribble.
And coming full circle, I think he would be quite helpful in our apocalyptic
situation.
situation.
Point. That's a good dang it. I don't know if I've got any help on my guy. All right,
Who
so
do you
Dale
got?
Gribble. All right, so my character, this might sound weird, but I'm going to defend it. My character is Homer Simpson.
Why?
Homer,
Give me that logic.
All right, so Homer, again, he comes off as, and again, this is somebody I want to be friends with. This is completely void of our apocalypse.
Sure.
I would not depend on him as in an apocalypse, although he does work at a nuclear power plant and sits behind a desk by himself running that entire thing.
He could be the cause.
Smarter, but he could also be a lot smarter than you think he is. If he's a one-man show running a whole nuclear power plant, he's got to be pretty damn smart, right?
That's one way to interpret it. I think I'm going the other way.
Or Mr. Burns is not very smart.
I think that's more likely. I think you're looking at ground zero with Homer right there.
You could be. All right, so
continue.
first of all, obviously he's great for a laugh.
Sure.
Good sense of humor. He's known for his sense of humor, his ability to find kind of joy and laughter in pretty much everything.
I can buy that.
So having somebody who's always fun to be around. Obviously, I like fun. I talked about Robin Williams last week. But having somebody who's fun can kind of just make life fun and alleviate stress on a regular basis is ideal in a friend. He's going to be loyal as hell. I mean, think about all his friends at the bar. He talks to the same 4 or 5 friends all the time. He's constantly throughout all the seasons, and I don't know what they're up to now, like 25, 30 seasons.
Oh, it's insane.
But he's always been a loyal family man. He prioritizes that loyalty and that kind of those bonds with his family. Pretty reliable. I mean, at the end of the day, he's pretty reliable. So I've given you a few reasons why I think Homer. I'm going to give you a few more. Don't worry. And I've got some actual episodic. Is that the word?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Scenarios that I can kind of help to push him. But all right, tell me a little bit about why Dale.
Well, for one, I think it'd be quite entertaining. I don't think there'd be any dull moments around Dale. If you don't know who Dale Gribble is, he's one of Hank Hill's friends in King of the Hill. He's a little bit neurotic, maybe a lot neurotic. Doesn't trust the government. Kind of your stereotypical conspiracy
Holy hell,
theorist.
now I know why you like him. He's you. He's you.
He might be me to a degree in cartoon form. I'd like to think I'm a little more
So you're
well-rounded.
narcissistic. You want to be friends with yourself.
I mean, who doesn't? But no, president of the Arlen Gun Club, beer connoisseur.
All right. I'm liking him better.
Exterminator, bounty hunter. He's an interesting character. I just think he'd be fun to hang out with. Have a few brewskis with.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not. Yeah. I think that is a solid choice.
I think it would come with a little bit of annoyance as well. I think he's got such a strong.
Well, doesn't every friend?
Yeah, I mean, you do for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We all got our quirks. So I'm going to give you a bit of, I guess, episodic. I'm sticking with that word. I don't care if it's a word. Tell me if it's not. I don't care if you do. Another reason I would like Homer as my friend is due to his unintentional wisdom. Now, he doesn't come off as a smart guy. Anybody who's watched The Simpsons will be like, he is a dumbass. He's always causing issues. But despite his sometimes kind of foolish actions, he actually occasionally imparts some pretty unintentional wisdom to his family and to his friends. So I've got one specific example. So in season 6, pretty early on, episode 13, it was titled "And Maggie Makes 3." So in this episode, Homer decides to quit his job at the power plant to pursue his dream of working at a bowling alley. I mean, it sounds like a solid dream. Unfortunately, he soon realizes that the new job doesn't pay enough to support his family. So again, this man was making bank at the nuclear plant. He's smarter than you think he is. So obviously, feeling defeated, he returns to his old job at the power plant, only to find out that his position has been filled. So he kind of goes home and he explains to his family why he came back to the power plant. And so this is the quote. He says, "Don't let Krusty's death get you down, boy." And he's talking to Bart in this situation. "People die all the time, just like that. Why, you could wake up dead tomorrow. Well, good night." So, I mean, that initially sounds pretty damn morbid. There's some unintentional wisdom there. So it kind of lies in the idea of kind of appreciating life and really not taking things for granted. So he's kind of highlighted the unpredictability of life and the importance of making the most of the present moment and the situation. So it's kind of a humorous way of expressing profound truths about the fragility of life, if you will.
I will say that's probably one of the reasons that The Simpsons has been running for so long, because if you notice, it is kind of a stupid comedy TV show,
yeah.
But they always do have some kind of
What about their ability to predict the future? You always seen all those things out there where they're always predicting things?
Of course.
Didn't they predict Trump winning the election in 2016?
I'm not a Simpsons connoisseur, so I don't really dive too far into that.
Yeah.
I've heard it on multiple occasions. I think if you dig deep enough, especially, 20 years back, you can make connections.
All right. So give me a couple more reasons why Dale. I got one more good one for Homer, but I'll let you give me some Dale.
Well, I think he's like I said before, he's a little neurotic, but overall he's a loyal friend and a good dude, I think.
And at the end of the day, I mean, that's what you want in a friend, right?
Exactly.
You want somebody who's going to be loyal. You want somebody who's going to be good. You want someone you can share a beer with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Let me give you one last reason for Homer.
Go for
This is I guess, kind of in our world of diversity, inclusion, acceptance. This is kind of it. So Homer, obviously, very, very accepting of all kind of people's differences. He doesn't really judge them. He's got friends of all different creeds, religions, all that fun stuff. So in another example, season 16, so this is about 10 years later, episode 21, this one's titled The Father, the Son, and the Holy Guest Star. So in this episode, his son, Bart, decides he wants to convert to Catholicism after attending a Catholic school. Marge obviously supports it, all moms do, but Homer is obviously pretty initially resistant to the idea. However, what he does, he attends a church service with the family. He becomes pretty intrigued by the acceptance and forgiveness preached by the priest, Father Sean. So later on in that episode, Bart and Homer have a conversation about their beliefs. And despite his initial hesitations, Homer ultimately accepts Bart's decision and his beliefs, and he tells him that he's proud of him for making his own choices. And he even attends Bart's first communion. So this demonstrates his ability to be pretty damn accepting. I mean, nobody wants to see their son kind of go on a different road of them, and so he accepts his son and his ability to kind of set aside his initial biases and embrace diversity of thoughts and beliefs, even within his own family. So I just think he'd be a good guy. I mean, I think he'd be fun to talk to. He's, I don't think you would ever feel like he's dictating the conversation in the way of his life, I guess.
I like that.
Yeah, I just think he'd be a good guy.
Once again, you went like 2 layers deeper than I thought you were going to go on this one.
I always do.
I love it though. But
all right, do you have a second? If you could pick a second cartoon character, I didn't think much outside of this.
I didn't think outside of this either, and I really don't. I think
Dale's it.
Dale was too solid for my personality type, and like I said, I think I said on episode 1, I like characters.
Yeah,
I like being around people that are themselves, authentic, and a little bit wacky.
Yeah.
And I think Dale checks all those boxes. So I'm sticking with that and
taking it to the grave.
Yeah, taking it to the grave.
All right, like I said, I like Homer. The other one I just was kind of toying with. And those of you 90s kids who grew up in the 90s, you're going to remember this guy, Tommy Pickles. You guys remember Tommy Pickles? I mean, the ultimate baby badass, right? He was never afraid of anything. He was always willing to get into trouble and to have fun, and he protected all his friends no matter what. So I don't know. He'd be a close second, I think. I don't know what he's like as an adult. I think they did make a show where they were older, but I never watched it.
I think he was definitely rolling with the thug life of the Rugrats.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was definitely that leader.
All right, well, what do you got? What else you got to add in here? Anything?
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up. You want to take us away on this one?
Yeah, let's take it away. All right, guys, so we appreciate you joining us this week on Loggers and Loudmouths. Again, we love input. Please email us. Go to our Instagram. It's at Loggers and Loudmouths. Our email is loggersand, loudmouths@gmail.com. Any ideas you got, any conversations you think would be fun to talk about, throw it out there. Nothing too weird, nothing too obscure. Again, we're talking about aliens. We're fighting aliens today. So again, we're open to any idea you have. So feel free to join us next time. Share with us any feedback you got, and we look forward to talking to you again in a couple of weeks.
Appreciate y'all. Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to Loggers and Loudmouths. Be sure to never miss an episode by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast streaming service. If you would like to provide feedback or suggest a topic for a future episode, please reach out to us at loggersandloudmouths@gmail.com.